Hello, everybody. No one's watching yet. I'll give you guys a moment. Let's see if I can get a few people on here. If you're viewing, you can let me know. So, like I said, I'll begin in a moment, but I'm Michael Grassia. I am an illustrator, an animator, an educator. I've done so many things. I've even worked in puppetry. I used to build and perform puppets, not for a long time, only for a few years. Most of my career has been in illustration, graphic design, things like that. I've been doing education for almost 20 years. I've been doing art professionally longer than that. So that's a little background on me. I see one viewer. Thank you for stopping in. Feel free to comment at any point in time if you have any questions or just want to say something. I am going to be doing these tutorials, these live streams, while schools are closed. So this, I'm going to try to keep it as simple that any age group can follow, but I will say this is probably better for 3rd, 4th grade and above. I have posted some, or I will be posting some stuff that's great for like pre-K to 2nd grade that's pre-recorded. And I have one up on making some simple paper puppets that you can design. So since I got one person on, that's great. Let me begin. So we'll start, as I like to start all my videos, with my intro. See you in a moment. All right, thank you for sticking around. I reintroduced myself. I'm Michael Grassia. I'm a cartoonist, animator, illustrator, whatever term. My job really is I'm a storyteller, and I do it visually through imagery. Excuse me. Now, just if you've seen this and you don't know what this is what we call a smudge guard or smudge glove. I'm going to be working on my Cintiq, which is right next to me, to my right here, the left of your screen, but to my right. And what a Cintiq is a large, basically, monitor that I could draw on. I'll use a stylus like this, and I draw directly on the screen. It's like having a great piece of paper and pencil, but I have the undo button, which makes my life a lot easier. I'll try to do some streaming on the other side of my room, which is my traditional side. So I'll have my drawing board there. I have all my markers and colored pencils and things. So I'll give some lessons on how to do stuff. I just got to get my camera set up over there. Now, before we begin, I'm going to do some basic cartooning with you. Just some simple overall basic cartooning skills. Now, some of the people that might be watching this may know me because I do go to schools and stuff, and I've probably, when I visited you, I probably demoed this stuff for you because it's usually, this is my first introduction to stuff. But there are great YouTube videos out there. I hope this is to be one of them. But there's also good books, and I wanted to show you my very first 2 drawing books I got. Now, I received this, God, we're going back to maybe 1986. I was about 10 years old, and I had a couple of drawing books before, but these are my first cartooning books. And I'm just looking at the copyright date just to get the idea when this book was published. So this book was published in '82. It's called Cartooning the Head and Figure by Jack Ham. This was a great book. I went through it like crazy. I still go back and visit things, facial expressions, different stuff in here. Still one of my favorites. But style-wise, it's kind of dated. It's a little bit old. but I happen to enjoy that stuff. I still enjoy and drawing in kind of older styles and whatnot. So this is still a good book. I believe you can get it. It's probably like $20 or something now. I got it for $6.95 back in the 80s. But I love this book. The other book that I used a lot, and this is what really got me onto animation. My whole life I wanted to do animation, and I got to do it on a smaller scale than like drawing for Disney or something. I've done a few video games back in the 90s, and I got to animate there. And I've done some smaller animations here and there that have appeared on the web throughout my career. But when I was a kid, I used to make really, really, really terrible flip books. But they're fun. So I used to animate as much as I could. I used to record the cartoons on TV, playing back in slow motion and see if I can figure out how animators animated. But this book, Cartoon Animation by Preston Blair, is probably the go-to book forever. You want to learn cartoon animation? This is the book. There are other books out there that are still great. I have more on my shelf to my left, and I got some to my right. Again, opposite screen size. But my animation section is on this side of the room. And I got stuff on digital art. I got some really, really good stuff out there. And other books that have helped me throughout my career. But just understanding how the old school animators used to draw. Going back to something as simple as this, right? We take the simple shapes, we add the guidelines for the head, we start adding more details, and eventually we get this cute bunny. Right? Now, Preston Blair was an animator who's worked for multitudes of companies. He's done tons of stuff. He's no longer with us. I have no clue when he passed. At least I believe that. I mean, he's been animating. Stuff goes back to like beginning times of animation, I believe. And you can find a lot of this stuff online, looking at constructions and things like that. Some of the cartooning I'm going to do is going to be mostly through this book, because a lot of the way I work is, even in illustration, is still old school animation. And there are two companies that really influenced what I did. The biggest one is probably Hanna-Barbera. There are people who created the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, Yogi Bear, those type of characters. And the other one are Warner Brothers, who did the Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny, and all those great characters. So my personal style is kind of a combination between the two. But the truth is, once you learn the basics of cartooning, like how shapes go together, which is what I'm going to show, once you learn that, then you can draw in any style. All right? So I'm going to begin. I'm going to switch over to my Cintiq. I'm in a program called Photoshop. Oops, sorry. Hold on. And there we go. So I'm in Photoshop. I want to change my brush because I don't believe I'm on the right brush right now. So I'm going to use this one it's from Kyle T. Webster. I bought a bunch of his brushes a while ago. Now Kyle's brushes belong to, I don't know if all of them, but they're with Adobe now. And let me just lower the opacity here. And because they're with Adobe, they come with Photoshop, some of them. I don't know if this one doesn't come with Photoshop. I don't know if you can buy it, but I love this pencil. It looks just like I'm drawing and feels just like I'm drawing with an actual pencil. All right. So let's begin and understand. And feel free if you want to comment. I'm here to look at. I'll be able to look at your comments and answer any questions. So just give me 1 second. I just want to see something here. Just give me one second. Sorry, there was a repeat there. Okay, I didn't mean to have that happen. All right. So when we cartoon, we draw with shapes. And there's 4 basic shapes that we will use. So obviously we got a circle, we got a square here, we've got a triangle and a rectangle. Now, all these shapes, this is what we call 2D. 2D shapes are flat. They're kind of boring, but they're needed. We want to create the illusion of form, which is 3D, so it looks like we can touch it. So a circle becomes a sphere, right? And these curved lines make it look like it's round. A square becomes a box or a cube, whatever terminology you'd like to use. And a triangle becomes a cone, and the rectangle becomes a cylinder. All right, so it's going to be important to get used to drawing these shapes and practicing. Now, I'm going to switch back to the view of me so you can see something here. Now, when we draw, if you're right-handed or left-handed, we do use different parts of our arm. All right. When you hold a pencil like this and you're just drawing with your wrist, which means your elbow, you notice my elbow and my shoulder is locked, nothing's really moving. This is how we write. And a lot of the times we ink that way too, because we want to get fine details. But then we can lock our wrist and basically our shoulder and draw with our elbow, and our elbow is the only thing moving, right? And that'll give you broader strokes. Also, if we draw with just our shoulder and we lock the wrist and elbow, and you're going to see I can make large strokes, right? And those large strokes are going to be something to help you in your drawing. Now, I'm using a stylus right now, but let me grab a pencil from the opposite side of the room. Okay, so I got this blue colored pencil here. This is a Cola Erase pencil. Now, when you hold a pencil and you're holding it like this is writing. This is tight. It's going to give you hard, dark lines, very hard to erase. If you loosen up a little bit on the pencil and hold it kind of in the middle, all right, you're going to get a more looseness. It'll be a lighter mark that you put on your pencil, and it will be easier to erase. So think about that. Now, it does take a little time getting used to it. It could be a little uncomfortable in the beginning, but don't worry about that. If you need to be down here in the beginning, be down here in the beginning. Just try not to press hard, because all you need for what I'm doing with you is pencil and paper. Get an eraser, get a pencil sharpener, and you're fine. You know, I'm just doing it on the computer. All right, but everything I'm doing with you can be translated over onto pencil and paper. All right, so that's a quick little lesson about how to hold a pencil and what parts of the arm. Now I'm going to show you some differences about holding your pencil a certain, your movement of your arm. So I have these, and when I was creating these, because of the size I'm working on, I was creating with my elbow. Now, if I create with my wrist, right, look at the movement I get. That's about as far as I can get with just moving my wrist. Okay? It's not appearing. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn this layer off. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to do it here again. So this is about as far as I can get moving my wrist. This is with my elbow. You see that? And this is with my shoulder. So depending the size of the paper, the type of marks you want to make, it's important to know what part of the arm you want to work with. But that comes with practice. So don't worry. Just the more you do it, the better it'll come. Now, also making a circle on the paper, what I want you to do is above the paper, like just right above. So the paper's right here and here, And what I want you to just go over and see if you can figure out the best circular shape that you can make. All right. And when you feel you got it, put the pencil to the paper. Just keep that movement going. All right. That's how we get really nice circles. So let me show you what I got here. So this is me. I'm working with my elbow at the moment, and I'm creating a circle to the best of my ability. I'm in that movement, and I feel I got the good movement down. So now I'm gonna put it down. It's not the best circle, but it's a pretty decent circle, right? So let's use this, and let's start putting some shapes together. All right. So this is a flat circle. We want to create that depth, that feeling of form, right? So we're going to do 3D, and we're going to put in those curved lines. But what I'm doing here, and that's a little too many lines. I'm a very messy artist in the sense where I put a lot of lines in, then later I go clean up my work. For you, you work the way you want to work. Now, what I'm creating here are guidelines. This is the line of symmetry. This divides the head in half here. The next one I'm going to put in is the eye line. So if I put it in the middle and I got that curved line, I know the eyes are going to fall right on that line. All right, now he's a little cross-eyed to me, or I don't like that. So let's fix those eyes for me. I'm going to put them in the center. All right, and above it, we're going to give him eyebrows. Doesn't have to be big or anything right now, just simple lines. And now the nose, I'm going to use a circle again for the nose, and the nose goes right below. And then we got a mouth down here. All right, so we got this very simplistic head coming in. If I want to give him ears, ears are going to fall kind of in the middle between the eye and the nose. In reality, we can measure our face by eyes, right? So technically, they say our head is about 5 eyes wide. All right, but the space, so if I took the measurement of my eye right here, the space between my 2 eyes is the same size as 1 eye. My nose, if I hold it, I can't really do it this way, but if you hold the eye and just turn it down, your nose is the same size as your eye as well as your mouth. All right, now from the corner of your nostril and the corner of your eye, and you bring it around, this is where your ear connects to your head. It's not exactly the size of your ear. My ear is actually bigger, but my connection goes from that corner to the tip of my nostril. So using that in the guidelines can give me an idea of where the ears are going to go. So if we go back to the drawing that I'm working on, hold on one second. My door opened up, and I think the wind just blew it open. Okay. Hopefully the wind does not do that again. All right, so now that I'm looking here, oh, did it again. Hold on, I gotta close my window, I guess. The only reason why, if you can hear me, I'm sorry, I'm a little far away. I'm closing the window because I have a cat in the other room, and I didn't want him to come in and disturb what we're doing. All right, so now we got the ears where they belong. We got the eyes where they belong. We got the mouth where it belongs, right? Now let's give it hair. Now we could do different styles for hair. Hair can be a shape too. So for example, what if I wanted this guy right now, he's going to have just hair on the sides of his head. And you see this kind of rectangular shape that I made on both sides here? I think that's a little much. Let me fix this one. Okay. So I got hair on the side of his head, and they're kind of these rounded rectangles I did. So it's okay to modify the shape. And if I wanted to give hair over here, what if I wanted him to have like a part on this side? So I'm just using kind of this curved line, and maybe it comes down into here. You see that? So what I'm doing is I'm taking this character piece by piece. So I got this head here. I'm going to just darken in the chin. All right. Maybe put a little line in for the ear. And then down here, I'll add a neck. And the neck doesn't have to be big, right? I want a little more hair over here now that I look at him. All right. Notice also what I did with the hair. I put the hair and I gave it height. So there's some height here and here, because if you actually touched it, if you have hair, unlike me, you know, when we look at me here, there's no hair, there's no thickness to it. But if you have hair, there's usually there's going to be some height. So you'd have to press your hand down to try to feel your scalp. So you don't want the hair just right on top of the head. So think about that with the character. Now I'm going to shrink this guy a bit. Whoops, hold on, wrong screen I was on. Okay, so all, Command T, and I'm going to shrink this down so I can build his body. All right, so I got his head here now. Make it a little bigger. And what I want to do for his body is I want to think about the basic shapes. Now, when the body has, we can think of the body in two ways. All right, we can think of it as a circle here, maybe for the torso, and then the stomach area. And then it's got the waist. I know this looks really messy. Let me erase a little bit here so you can see it. So this is like the chest. This is the stomach. And this is your waist. Okay? So if we think like that, if we look at that shape on its own, it kind of looks like an upside down oval, like this egg shape, right? And that's fine. It's kind of an average build to a character. In cartooning, though, we usually use kind of this pear, so it's a little, it could be a little bottom heavy, right? We could use the pear upside down, so he's looks like he's got, he's muscular, you know, like right up here would be his muscles, and down here this would kind of be more of a gut for him. Or we use a bean shape, like a little bean or a little mini hot dog type of shape. So these are average things that we use. So this is kind of like a pear, and it gets bigger out, and this is the same thing. So we got this pear, we got this bean, or we got this upside down egg shape. It's really a matter of choice what you want to use. For this guy, I'm going to go with kind of that upside down egg, that oval. All right. So now that I got that, I might add some curved lines in to kind of help me place the body. You don't have to do the guidelines. Sometimes it's helpful. And let me erase these things here. All right. So now I want to start adding the arms and legs. The arms and legs are based off cylinders, but we need to make the cylinders flexible. So really, what is the makeup of a cylinder? It's a flat area, right? Like a flat oval, two lines, and then another curved line to match the curve at the top. So how do we make these arms bend? Well, curve the line right here, and then try it out. So you got like this macaroni noodle, like if you were making mac and cheese. And you can make them different heights. So, for example, I could come down right here. You see I got that curve for the hip coming in, these straight lines coming down, and then another curve. Now, I'm not going to match, the way I did this, I'm not matching that top curve because this is kind of the where the hip joint would be. and it's the way it attaches to the body. But if I wanted to, I could just draw in right up there, and then I'm matching. I'm going to do the same thing to this side, so I'm going to curve it. Then I'm going to come in, right? And for his feet, I want to use ovals, just flat ovals. And this one's going to be looking like it's forward, so we're going to come out like this. So, and let me do a little bit of erasing. And for those watching, feel free to comment. I'll be happy to answer any questions. If you are commenting, I'm not seeing them. I do apologize, but if you do comment and I'm not seeing them right now, I will answer them as soon as the stream is over. So you can see how this is forming here, right? And now shoulders. Now we could just pull these off, but sometimes I like to add shoulders to it. Now, when you draw, a lot of people, a lot of kids, you know, they build the head, they build the body, and then they draw the arms out over here. That is wrong. It's not, you know, you guys are thinking, and you're thinking that the arms go between the head and the legs, which is great, but it's not how it actually properly connects to the body. We connect to our shoulders. So if there's a cartoon head that you drew and it has a body like this, the shoulders are actually right here. This is where the arms would come out of. But on something like this where he has a neck, it's going to come off the shoulders on the side. So now I'm going to build that curved line. And for now, I'm going to use a circle for the hands. This is just a placement. It's not the full circle. Now, one of the things you want to know is that if this is, figure this is the waist right here, right? So this arm actually needs to be a little longer. Elbows fall just around the waist. Some people say just above, some people say at the waist. You know, every person's different. So I say around the waist. Okay, so here you can see this is where the bend is here. It's kind of where the bend is here. And the hands will fall mid-thigh. Now, the mid-thigh is technically right around this area, right? Because your knees would be right here. So the reason why the hands are shorter is because right now they're just circles. I have to add fingers to them. And adding fingers are just like making, you know, if you want to call them cylinders with a sphere on top, they're just little bumps, you know, like that. So you can see the hands right there. And this one here, I'll add in the thumb is over there. So 1, 2, and you may not see all 4 fingers, right? So you see this cartoon guy I got here? It's very simple when you think about that. You know, we could modify shapes. I'm not going to show you how to put clothes on him right now, but it's simple. All you're going to do is cut off where you want sleeves, give a collar, maybe a belt, and then you erase what you don't need. All right? Let's go to another layer, and let's talk about drawing a girl. Now, drawing a girl is the same thing. We can use any shape we want, but right now I'm going to use a circle. All right? And I'll zoom in on it so we can see it better. All right? I'm going to put the guidelines in. And I'm going to maybe change the shape of the eyes from a circle, maybe more to like an almond shape. And instead of giving her that big circle nose, maybe I'll do a little like cute nose like that. All right. I'm going to put her eyes in. And they can look. Oh, did her cross-eyed again. She's going to be looking off in that direction. And we're going to give her eyebrows. Now, when we draw women, usually around the corner, we give them a couple of eyelashes, 2, 3, whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm doing 3 on her, but I normally do about 2. That's just my style. Also, what I can do is modify this shape. So I'm coming in a little heavy. I wouldn't normally be this heavy, but I'm straightening this curve here, and then I'm going to come out, and I'm puffing out her cheek a little bit to add some cuteness. And here I'm going to add her lips. So I'll start with a smile, right? And I'm going to open, but it's actually not opening her mouth right there. I'm just giving her another lip, well, her bottom lip. Let me move this in so you can see this better. So I'm giving her her bottom lip, and then right underneath the nose, this is where the little dip in the lips go. So I'm coming down on that side, I'm coming down on that side. Let me erase a little bit of what I got here, because you don't want the mouth come out. That she's not a clown or anything, right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in her ear. And if you want, maybe add a little earring to it, which could just be a little hoop like that. And let me do a little erasing around here so we can see it better. Okay. Okay. Now her hair. I'm going to wait on her hair, and the reason is because I want to draw her neck and then her shoulders. Now, for a woman's body, I want to give her that hourglass look. So we can do that a couple ways by maybe drawing the number 8, but then she's a little thin. So what I like to do is I like to kind of draw curved triangles. So this is her torso, and then another one over here for her hips. Okay, now women have naturally larger hips than men, so we're going to make those a little more prominent than we made on the guy. All right, and I'm going to add smaller shoulders. When we draw women, we want them to be a little more softer than men in the sense of line weight. We don't want them to look very heavy lined or whatever, because that's going to add a lot of muscle definition or just add an ugliness to the character. So I got a question here from Amy Sampson. For cartoon drawings, how realistic can you get? Honest question is, you can get as realistic as you want. I like to keep it simple. And the reason for that is, number one, I come from an animation background, and my background is when you animate a character, we have to draw the picture over and over and over again and have the character look the same, just in slightly different movements. So we use these simple shapes. Also, cartooning is the stylization of reality. So when we're cartooning, we're stylizing the world. So whether we want to do comic books like Superman or Batman or something, where it looks, we got like, more realistic looking anatomy and backgrounds, and buildings look like buildings and cars look like cars, like you can tell the make and model. That's one form. It's, what you're doing is you're not officially stylizing, you're kind of capturing what reality is, but adding this science fiction element, if you will, or fantasy element to it. When you watch something like Bugs Bunny, and it's very interesting, and one day I do plan to do like a character and background design lesson with you guys in a week or so, and I'll show pictures from this. But like, there was a great cartoon, I believe it was a Daffy Duck cartoon, the Scarlet Pumpernickel. Oh, the Scarlet Pumpernickel. It was based on the Scarlet Pumpernickel. And you're going back to, I believe it's 17th or 18th century France with this story. So the layout artist, who was a man named Maurice Noble, he stylized it so much that you could tell you had this chair from this era, but it didn't look like an actual chair. You know, the proportions were off and things weren't correct. So it really comes down to a matter of opinion and what you're trying to do. I come more from the Looney Tunes, Hanna-Barbera background with my work. You know, I like that simplicity and style. But really, it's a matter of opinion, and what do you want to get with your work. All right. I hope I answered that question well enough for you. So let's get back to drawing the female. What I'm going to do for her legs is I'm using these cylinder shapes again, but I'm going to come down almost like they're coming in, and they should really actually, that one's a little fatter. You want to try to keep your stuff even so things look correct. All right, and then down here, I want to give her a little bit more. Kind of, I'm pushing out a little bit and tapering it down so she has, you know, like calf muscles. All right. And I'm not really liking the legs too much, but I'll fix that. And the way I'll fix that is I'm going to come down here like so to kind of help define the hips. And then I have my places where the legs will come out. Hello, Carlos. Yes. Hey, how you doing, Carlos? I remember you from the Spider's Web. You did the animation stuff. You came to all my workshops. Wait, why isn't I? Okay, and let me just bring her up so I can get her feet in there. Ugh, I hate this. Give me 1 second. Okay, and am I still in Photoshop? Okay. Now for her feet, I'm going to do the same thing as I did. Here, I'm going to give her kind of, you know what, I don't like that. Let's do, for this woman, let's give her feet, make her feet kind of triangular. Almost like she's wearing high heels. All right. And for her arms, we got the cone, I mean the cylinder here coming down. And her hips come in here, so I know where the elbow will bend around. And then I'm going to add the hands in here. Right? Now we got to draw the woman's chest, and what I like to do to make it easy is I build another triangle out through here, and I just curve the bottom. That might be a little too low. I want them a little higher there, just because then she has no stomach. So let's bring it up to about here, and then this way she can have her stomach. All right, and we can come in and even fix and add a little bit more so she's not so thin there, right? And for the hair, we can do different styles in hair. Actually, drawing female hair is something I don't want to say I'm not a fan of. It's a little difficult for me. I always got to look at pictures of women's hair. So I'm just using these curved shapes. I'm going to have it come down behind. Or I'll try to keep basic hair shapes like I'm doing here. All right. And to shade hair, what we do is we don't draw every strand. Okay. What we do is we create highlights. So one of the things that you could do is actually color this whole hair in and then erase. Let me get a bigger brush here just so I can color this in quicker. And I'm going to do this on this side. The other side, I'm going to do a different method. All right. All right. Okay, so that's one side hair, and then I can come with the eraser and let me make that a little smaller, and I can come in and erase where highlights would be. And what you want to do is keep with the shape and the direction of the hair. All right, maybe there'll be some here. I might have a little bit up here, okay? And then I could even come down a bit. I don't know, I'd probably just keep it like that. I don't like doing tons and tons of highlights. Actually, I might even just keep this one up here and go back and brush over this, okay? Now, on this side here, another way you could do this, hold on, brush, I hit the wrong button, I'm sorry, is you can come in and just leave the white space where you want it. Okay. All right, that makes sense, right? Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put clothes on her. And the way we do that, and the fingers are drawn the same way, just sometimes a little more delicate, a little not as thick and sausage-like. So what I'm going to do first is erase some of the pieces that are going to cause me some issues. Okay, and let's remove her neckline there. So now what I want to do is figure out how is she going to be dressed? What is she going to be wearing? So let's give her a V-neck. Whoops, I'm not still on the eraser. Let's give her a V-neck shirt. So all I'm doing is drawing the letter V, right? And maybe she's got a short sleeve shirt. So I'm just going to draw short sleeves. And it comes down, and maybe it comes a little bit over her hips, right? And now let's give her some pants. Maybe the pants are a little baggier. So I'm going to go out, and it's not going to be so tight up against her. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And I'm going to come in with my eraser. Erase what I don't need. And then maybe figure out, oh, well, you know, she had a zipper, so you can put little details in. Maybe she's got her pocket there. You know, maybe her shoes look like this. All right. And let's just give her some fingers. And these are just quick codes for fingers for me. What if I wanted to give her a bracelet? Well, a bracelet can be just drawn by a little kind of rectangle, maybe two, coming off on the side. We can even draw a very thin line coming down and give her a necklace, like say a heart pendant or something. Now, I think I made her head a little big for this character. I would actually make her body a little wider. But I do feel that it's not a bad character, you know? Hold on, Amy, what did you say? Okay, because I'm usually better at drawing realistic drawings than cartoons, and also the stream stops at random times. Is it our connection? I'm going to assume it's your connection. I'm not noticing any issues on my end. I apologize that that's happening to you. I hope you're not losing stuff, but the stream will be up on YouTube so you can watch it again. And if you're better at drawing realistic, that's perfectly fine. I used to draw a little realistic years ago. I kind of learned that way. I don't like it. And not because it's hard to do for me or anything. I like it comes down to a personal preference. Basically, I'm not a big fan of reality sometimes, you know, and cartooning allows me to escape reality and allows me to go to places that I couldn't do. So basically, as long as I have a pencil and a paper, I can go anywhere I want that my imagination can take me. If I what's it called? But if I try to always draw realistic, it's going to take time. There's, cartooning lends itself to speed. I can get done a lot quicker. I can make people laugh. It's just the type of art I like to do. And there's no reason that because you draw realistic means you can't draw cartoony. It's just a matter of practice. Everything I'm doing. If I wanted to do realism again, I'd have to practice it a little bit, but I'd be able to do it. And there's a lot of great cartoons out there that have more of a realistic feel to it. I recently was rewatching, I don't remember how recently it was, but on Netflix, there was there's this kind of like 3D looking manga, or anime, I should say, because it's on Netflix, of Ultraman, which was a character back in, I don't remember when it started, 60s or 70s in Japan. And it has a lot of realism to it. It's still a little, got its cartoon feel, but it has some realism to it. And I love that cartoon. I don't know if the second season started, but I can't wait for a second season if they have one. So just do what you like to do. If what I'm showing you can help you out, that's awesome. And it's just a matter of practice. We got different styles in cartooning. All right. So I could do something like this, and I'll cross a couple of shapes together. Now, I don't put, every time I draw, I do all these guidelines that I was showing you, because I've been doing it for so long that that I can kind of see it in my head without actually drawing everything. And let's make this kind of a dog. We'll make this a big dog. He'll have a little kind of spiky, or just this big collar, and we'll give him a little tiny ear like that over here, and a little one up there, right? So here's one style. It's kind of Hanna-Barbera-ish, right? If you remember, Hanna-Barbera is the ones who did like Yogi Bear and the Flintstones, and actually, to be a little bit, I mean, it does, but most Hanna-Barbera characters, I'll fix this right here, their legs are actually together. So we would see something that comes down, and maybe his leg is up like that, and the other one's out like so. So we got this shape there. Although I don't really like his the way his legs are, I'd actually probably want his leg behind him. So let's do that. All right. But then if you were to go do something very Disney-esque, right? You want Mickey Mouse. Right? Mickey Mouse has his nose over here. He's got his little snout here. His mouth is very close to the bottom. Right? And he's got his cheek up here, and he's got his other cheek over here. And it goes up. And Mickey's eyes could be whatever you want here. But you see, this is drawn, and we'll just add in color here. Okay, this is another style. It's a little more cartoony and bouncy and what Mickey originally was, right? And then if you wanted to go superhero-ish, we'll create the head up here, put in the guidelines, and you'll have an eye around here. Mouth will come in a little bit more. There's a little bit more realism on here. It's still cartooning, but it's still... And then you got to really know where the muscles are here, And then what if you were to do like a chibi character, right? And I'll do this type of eye right here. All this is just understanding how the shapes go together. Right? And and I'll do a whole thing on like manga, anime style stuff, but chibis are just really 2 heads high. So we know how big the head is here. Actually, the feet should come down to about here. So if you can understand those shapes that I talked about in the beginning, you'll be able to draw anything. When you look at the realistic stuff, Amy, you still have to know the shapes that make up the eye, and that if you were to look at an eye, right, here's the eyeball, it sits in this giant eye socket, right? So you got to understand how the muscles and everything connects, but then it connects to the eyelid, which the eyelid goes over, right? Comes down in here, and you're not seeing the full eye. So you got all this would be the white of the eye here, right? You got the your iris here, your pupil here. Maybe you got a shine in there, right? And because the eyelid covers, there's going to be a little bit of a shadow there. And how eyelashes are going to come off. And I'm not going to draw everything right now, but you see what I'm doing here? I'm understanding the shapes. I'm understanding part of the, how the construction works. So, like if you were to look, we'll do one more. So you were to look at an arm, and I use a sphere for the shoulder, a cylinder for the upper arm, and then another smaller sphere for the elbow, coming down into the lower arm. And give me 1 second. I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to put this on a new layer so we can look at this clean. All right. So I got the arm right here, and I'm going to make it bigger so we can see it better. Right? Now I'm going to lower the opacity so I can draw a little bit over it. And on another layer above, I know that kind of off the collarbone area, we're going to get the shoulder that comes up, right? And the muscle goes down into there, and it's connected to the muscle's connected over here, and this actually goes into the pecs, right? And I forgot muscle names right now, but back here, I believe, are the triceps, and the bicep is right over there, right? So the muscle works this way, and they kind of intertwine in a way. Actually, I don't like that there. This line should be a little further back. So this would kind of be back here a little bit more for the muscle. And then this, where the elbow is, it's going to come down. The bicep comes down into the elbow down here, right? And we get to the elbow, and here's the bone. And then your forearm comes down into a shape like so. that comes into the wrist that would go into the hand. And your rib cage is kind of like right around there. All right. I hope that makes sense to you, Amy. But you see here how I used those shapes and I started building the muscles and everything off of my knowledge of anatomy, but also off these basic shapes. Now, if I was to come in and really look at a character that I'm drawing, I would want to shade it properly, and how would that look? Where's the more detailed of the muscles? See, I don't believe it would be right there. You know, there actually, let's bring this down. There actually might be another kind of line coming down in between that splits on the shoulder. Now, this is if you're a defined, your muscles are defined. Most people don't have really defined muscles, so you're going to keep it kind of maybe simple and softer. So if I have an arm that using the same shapes, a more average arm just might be something like this. So you see the difference there? So this right here, this is someone who really works out. This is a superhero. And this is the beginning of drawing realistically on this side here. And this one here is your average guy. Nothing's really defined on them. You might see a little bit of something, but that's it. Are there any other questions before I end this for today? I'm going to try to keep the streams to about an hour. If I go over the hour, that's okay. If I stay under, that's okay too. I just don't want to. I could be here honestly for hours and hours talking about this. Art, drawing, cartooning. This is something I truly love, and sharing my knowledge with people. I really love that as well. I'm glad I helped you, Amy. Thank you for being a part of this today. So again, I would thank everyone who joined in. I thank everyone who's going to watch this later on. I have a website, getintoon.net, if you want to check it out. A lot of some streamings I've done on Facebook recently are up there. It's basically a blogging site that I'm going to be posting to more. I haven't been able to really focus on it because of a day job, which I'm off for I don't know how long now. But while the schools are closed, because I work for a school during the day, which is why my blog hasn't been updated really. But for as long as the schools are closed, I will be doing on Mondays and Wednesdays a live stream at 1:00, and I'll give a different lesson. So next time I come, I haven't decided which one I'm going to do, but I'm going to build up from there, from this lesson, and maybe we'll do a little more movement or just focus on the head or something along those lines. Eventually, I want to get into more about a little bit about animation. I'm going to try to bring some of my comic friends and animator friends on to speak to you guys. I can't promise that everything's based around their schedule, but that's my plan. So again, thank you for joining me. I'm glad I helped you out, Amy. Carlos, it was great that you joined in too. I hope you're doing a lot of art still. And I'll hopefully see you guys on Wednesday. All right, thanks a lot, and remember, get in tune.